we had been streamlining our curriculum basically since COVID began. At the end of COVID, we realized how overloaded everybody was, how hard it was, and the kids were feeling such stress. And every time we turned around, there was more being put on the plates of teachers. And although we kept saying to teachers, take stuff off, they couldn't really. It's hard to do that. So we decided we needed to take the curriculum and begin to streamline it for them so they felt less pressure. Because before we had a curriculum where we said, you can make choices. But they didn't see it that way as choices. They saw it as all this stuff we have to cover. So we thought it would be important to streamline. And we tried a couple of years ago, we began really working on the social studies curriculum. And we found it very difficult. Everybody had their view. Everybody held on to what they loved teaching. And we wanted it to be our team effort. In our school, we do everything through the team. We don't tell them what to do. We come up with it together. And it was a good 1.5 year long process to get us there. It was hard. So when I saw your book last year, and it was streamlining the curriculum through storyboarding, I was like, oh, this sounds so cool. I started looking at it. And Nicole already ran her language arts classes as a 1-year-long story. And she had become, she was a coach language arts teacher. And this past year, I asked her just to only coach while she worked with the language arts curriculum and streamlining it. So I gave her that book and I said, Nicole, this sounds like you. I think that this might help. And she ran with it. So it's Nicole's story after that.
Well, Nicole, run with it. Tell us some things. What did you do?
Well, before I started using the book, what I'd done when I was the 9th grade teacher was I had one big concept and one big question. And everything that the kids did in that class, whether it was reading or writing, revolved around that big concept, that big question. And so at the end of the year, the students' job was basically to wrap it up. What did you learn based on, it was invisibility then? What have you learned about invisibility? And to be honest, I loved the way it turned out. The work they produced, their insights, I thought it was beautiful. And I had the same experience the year before. So when I started coaching, I wanted that same sense of, let's have one big concept, let's have essential questions that drive all of the learning. And I wanted to do that from 7th to 12th grade. And what I asked my teachers to do was, if there is one thing that your students will take away from your class, what will that be? And based on that, let's write a story. What will your students learn? Let's say that 7th grade is that first chapter of the story. What will they learn then? It has to have a beginning, a middle, and an end, even if 7th grade is just exposition. And so it was so organic, but it was awesome because it just flowed. All of the teachers, we have 3 teachers, they wrote their story for 7th and 8th grade, and then 9th and 10th, 11 and 12. And when we put it all together, I want to say that we worked to tweak it, but we didn't. It seems as though one concept opened the door for the next one. And then from there, we had the high school story or the language arts high school story of a student at TCFL.
Now, this is interesting to me, and I want to elevate this so we're clear about something, because you've done something that I think is a wonderful iteration from some of the ideas that Allison and I wrote about. You've done something, maybe because you are a writer, I don't know for sure. But usually when people storyboard, and there's no one approach, there's no question about it, they'll start by looking at, even a fairly traditional curriculum and give it some juice and look at how could we lay this out and convey it to students. And when we translate the storyboard into student-friendly language, they start to understand it. What I think I'm hearing you say, which I had picked up before, but I want to kind of tease out a little bit, is you were asking the teachers, as I hear you, to actually stop and think about the whole set of learning experiences they're going to have and really what matters most. Yep. And almost making that the antagonist of the story, if I can press it a little bit. The story is really about this. It's about what matters most and how we carry that through the year. you in a way are having them reflect on it more deeply before they even go to storyboarding. Am I hearing
Yes.
you right?
Yes, actually, to be honest, I don't think this was intentional because when
Mhm.
Carla gave me the book, I had already begun. And so what I had the teachers do was like we wrote the story together. And then from there, they started thinking about their units. About a month after we had that fleshed out, Carla gave me the book. And then it was beautiful because it's like, oh, we were creative writing the story of your courses.
That's
And
right.
it made sense. Like, and then when I had asked the teachers, like your students are the protagonist of like your own little story, right? And they're the protagonist all throughout high school. That's their main role. They're the protagonist. But what are our roles? And it was wonderful to find the language in your book. We are creative writing the curriculum, and then we are going to edit that curriculum, and then we're going to compose the curriculum. And it's just like it was just I guess, a framework that allowed me to make sense. Like in my mind, it made sense. Maybe because I had already tried to do something similar the years before, or because I am a writer. To be honest, I'm not sure. But your book gave me the opportunity to make it make sense for them.